Okay, just making sure. Okay, so then I bring it on.
You know what, you can run through with him because he did it.
17 is blank out. Then on page 18 there's the newscaster speaking.
And then yours is not.
And then Yasser's speaking.
Okay, you're doing your May 31st thing there. It looks crossed out.
Looks like it's been crossed out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crossed out there.
So
Okay,
19 looks like it's pretty much crossed out.
Yeah.
20
is your Yasser.
Yasser's like little animal.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Then it's marked out. Next time we've got a web newscaster on page 21.
Yep.
Middle of the page, June 4th, that's correct. Then Sent from Afar on page 22. Yasser.
Yeah. You can push it another few minutes. Everyone's here.
Just wanted to time check.
Yeah.
So, we've got
Yasser on June 9th, and then
Yasser is just sort of.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's Friday.
yeah, okay, these are all Yasser updates, yeah.
So 23, God bless you, my friend. Yasser goes on.
24 looks like everything's crossed out.
24 might have a friend from Afar say Yasser. Then on page 25, I feel sad for myself. 26. Friend from Afar, Yasser. And then the newscaster, 27. It's just a part of that paragraph. Without it, I'll say English. Then friend from Afar.
So do we want my last news report that I was suggesting, reading an article from today or part of it? Do you want that before you say that to Shaw?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do that on 27.
Yeah.
I'll just keep going.
Driving into the city in Russia, waiting for the second ferry.
We drove around.
Oh, you did?
It's coming. Yes, we have to wait. So this is about the same amount of time that would have taken if we would have like talked through this period. I think
I
it
was
worked out.
on for the ferry, but
Oh, really?
you want to say?
I think I'll just, I'm kind of just doing this shuffling instead. Hey, say hello. Good to see you. Cool shirt. I got my cool guy shirt on here. That shirt is good?
Yeah.
But I can't wear it as a reporter. I'm gonna take it out there and put my hoodie on after the shoot. You guys got all the tech and stuff figured out? Did you get the tech and stuff figured out? That's the videos and the PowerPoint. Still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Nobody for time here.
For time? The newscaster is going to have an end before inshallah.
Before you sit, so after I read this paragraph, I'm gonna just read that thing online, and then your line. And I'll
Oh, okay.
see you afterwards.
Okay.
Thanks, Tip. No, just the rest of it.
Good evening. Nope. Let's try that again. We do this every Sunday, and I still manage to get it wrong. Good evening. I am Pastor Joe Sheeran, and tonight is my privilege to welcome all of you to Woodland Park Presbyterian Church. Not for a worship service, but for this dramatic reading of One Family in Gaza. Tonight we have with us a company of players who will be performing this reading, who are from a variety of Palestine liberation groups in the Olympic Peninsula. You may look around and see that we also have an art show. This is Canopy of Contention, a partnership between our congregation and a number of tree activists here in Seattle. These are all part of our ministry here, part of our way that we try to be in solidarity, be in partnership with our community here at Woodland Park. And one final way that I'd like to share with you all before we settle in for the production is our land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that Woodland Park Presbyterian Church, that is this building and this congregation, is located on stolen land. In this case, the unceded ancestral lands of the Duwamish people. They are the first people of Seattle, and they are still here, continuing to bring honor and light to their heritage, and we benefit from the theft of that land every day. May this awareness and acknowledgement move us to prayer and reflection, to action, and to relationship. Have a good night.
Thank you so much for coming this evening. My name's Kit Kittredge. This nonfiction drama is based on the friendship between Crystal Zivan and a young father in the Gaza Strip. The story is told through the correspondence since the fall of 2023, reflecting Zivan's efforts to help the family, intertwined with short news reports that give context to the letters. The main focus is the messages received from the young father, which, while telling a story that in some ways reflects universal truths about living through any war, offers insights into this particular conflict. We open with the sound of drones, which Palestinians here listen to all day and all night. Thank you. Sometimes when I see their faces, actually I seem to always see their faces. When I take a shower, I'm thinking they can't even take a shower. When I eat a salad full of nutritious vegetables, I wonder, are they eating from tin cans? Are they even eating at all? When Yasser and I began communicating, I remember how the children's eyes were twinkly and bright, and their smiles were so broad. But they're older now. They're older in every way. In every way. For a year now, it's been more than a year actually, I wake up and the first thing I think is, are they alive? Then I check the text messages from Yasser. Most mornings, except when he doesn't have signal, there is a message. And sometimes there are photos or videos. We used to have video calls, but there's not enough signal for that anymore. With Yasser's text on my mind, I get out of bed, feed my animals, make a cup of tea, and turn on TV to Al Jazeera, thinking it can't be any worse than yesterday. But it almost always is. Worse. Next, I watch Democracy Now! And get another angle of worse. I can't make myself stop watching because I can't not see it. I feel like, how can we stop it if we don't know? In every video Yasser sends, there's this steady sound of drones in the background, and I think, how can they bear it? Day in, day out, buzzing overhead, always watching, always a threat. I can't bear it, and I'm just watching a video. I'm getting sidetracked. I had a plan for how to tell this story. The story of one family in Gaza, one family who, if you measure by the standard of living in Gaza, are relatively more fortunate than others. I can't believe I just said that. Where the hell does fortune come into this? I met Yasser online about 2 years ago, after the massacre in 2014, the one the Israelis called Protective Edge, the one where the settlers sat on a hillside with a glass of wine, picnic baskets, and cheered every time a bomb exploded. I thought it couldn't get worse than that, worse than 2,000 dead. Anyway, Yasser and I sent texts back and forth. Not a lot, but we got to kind of know each other. And after October 7th, we got back in touch. I don't remember who got in touch first, but since then we've been exchanging texts and photos and videos almost every day, except when he doesn't have signal. Yasser Yusuf is now 33 years old. He has a degree in civil engineering, and his wife Nada is the same age, and they have 3 children. Maria, who was 3 months old on October 7th, and now she's learning to walk surrounded by rubble. Mohammed is 5 now, and he has a face that melts my heart. His face is, and then finally Yusuf is the oldest, and he's 7. His face is a bit more serious, as if he understands more than any child that age should ever understand. But I'm talking too much. What I want to do is share some of the texts I've received from Yasser over the months. I think the story of Yasser and his family tells itself. It reveals the story of Gaza.
November 22nd, a 4-day pause. 50 Israeli captives were exchanged for 150 Palestinian captives. As they were being released, one elderly woman hugs her Hamas captor. We didn't hear from this woman again.
It's November 23rd. We have been displaced from our home and now reside in the Khan Yunis UNRWA shelter. I can only say that now we hope that the armistice agreement will be implemented tomorrow morning for a period of 4 days and then renewed, and this war will end. Despite the oppression and pain we are going through now, our lives will be harsh when we return to our homes because it will often be partially or completely destroyed, as well as a complete collapse of the electrical, water, sewer infrastructure.
December 2nd, 2023. Talks to extend ceasefire collapse. Hamas wants Israel to end its attacks on Gaza and release all Palestinian prisoners in exchange for all captives. Israel refuses.
December 2nd, we had to move to a refugee tent camp in Khan Yunis. They said it would be safer. The sounds of rockets and shells are terrifying at night. Our life is as follows. During the day, we try hard to provide for the family and children's necessities. Everything we need, we go to buy. Never believe what is said about the entry of aid because it is commandeered by profiteers and is sold at the market at high prices. At night, we cannot sleep because of the bombing and the sounds of ambulances and civil defense. The simplest thing we need to buy is water, drinking water, bathing, water for washing clothes, for washing dishes. The price of a cup of drinking water is cherished and carefully shared. Water was supposed to be available. There is an Israeli proposal to Europe to send ships to transport Palestinians. The Israelis want no more Palestinians.
December 10th, 2023. The United States vetoes the United Nations Security Council proposal to stop the war. Hamas says they are reviewing a 3-stage ceasefire proposal by Egyptian, Qatari, and Israeli and U.S. negotiators. Netanyahu rejects the proposal.
It was sometime around here that I was writing a letter to the editor about, children dying, infrastructure destroyed, hospitals bombed, etc., etc. And all of a sudden a thought came to me. When you talk about this genocide, most people respond with, oh, what about October 7th? What about Hamas? It suddenly struck me that what if my grandsons had been born in Gaza? Had their electricity doled out, had food limited to subsistence calories, had frigging chocolate disallowed? had family members killed or beaten or imprisoned by Israeli soldiers. I mean, after years of collapsing negotiations and nonviolent resistance that failed over and over again, would my grandsons join the resistance?
December 23rd, Khan Yunis refugee tent camp. Hello, my friend. I'm fine. My family's fine. But Maria has fallen very ill over the past 2 days and until now without responding to treatment. And the reason is the cold weather here in the tent. I'm very afraid for her.
It took me a while, but eventually I understood that we are fine means we are alive.
December 29, 2023, The Hague, Netherlands. South Africa filed suit today against Israel at the International Court of Justice, stating that Israel is committing genocidal acts and genocide against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, in violation of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide.
January 3rd, I'm now in the city of Rafah, near the Egyptian border. There is no positive news here. Our suffering increases here in the sand and cold climate due to the proximity to the sea. The children are in good health now, free of diseases. I hope this continues. Our lives are miserable here, my friend. We have become homeless, when in the past we had a home of our own. We used to drink water from the refrigerator without getting tired. And now we run like monsters to get water. We used to have a bathroom to relieve ourselves safely and easily, and now we suffer from that. We have reached the point of collapse.
I feel so helpless. Some days I wake up mad, so angry. I'm mad at the checker in the grocery store and the car with the "My child is an honor student" bumper sticker. And other days I just wake up crying. Literally, on those days, no matter what anyone says to me, I start crying. You know, if I know about this inhumane, brutal, savage genocide, our friggin' government has to know, right? I mean, even if the old lady who lives across the street doesn't know, the government knows, right?
January 22nd, 2024. Gaza hospitals are facing a catastrophic situation. Palestinian Health Minister says only 9 hospitals continue to partially operate in Gaza and without enough medical supplies or electricity.
January 25th. I hope that we can hold out until the end of this war. Yesterday, I received news from my village that my house was partially demolished, but I don't know how severe it is, how much was broken. We hope that the situation will not get worse, but the Israeli military withdrew yesterday, and now they're back again in my village.
I started a GoFundMe a while ago, and we are raising money, but now I can't find a way to get it into Gaza. By order of the US Treasury, banks face serious fines and consequences if they transfer money to Gaza. No matter where you turn, no matter how hard you try, if it's about Palestine, forget it. Just forget it.
This cell phone. Oh. February 23rd from Rafah. Sorry for the delay in responding, my friend. I can't stand the cold anymore. I'm standing in the street to get internet. The cold eats away at my fingers. As for coordination of how we can leave Gaza and go to Cairo, we must pay Yahala Company, which is owned by the corrupt Egyptian military officers. Before the war, the transportation cost $500 per person. Now, they want $5,000.
In the beginning, the family was determined to stay in Gaza. If their home was damaged, they would rebuild it. They were Palestinians from Gaza whose grandparents had been displaced during the Nakba in 1948. They were determined that they would never leave their land. They would not submit to another Nakba. But after Maria was sick and close to death, then Muhammad got very ill, and that changed. They decided to leave Gaza to find safety and peace. So I and a small group got together to support Yasser's family and began searching for a way out. We raised funds for travel and searched for a country to grant them humanitarian asylum. And everywhere we turned into a dead end.
February 8th from Rafah. The children are asleep now. We had a water problem, and this is what concerned us today. The bombing has not stopped for 2 days in the vicinity of Rafah and Khan Yunis. The scenes we received from the vicinity of Nasser Medical Hospital and the shelter schools in which we previously lived are horrible. Martyrs in the streets, and now they are dying because Israeli snipers prevent them from going out to get drinking water. Crying is everywhere.
February 10th, 2024, the body of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Gazan girl, found days after recordings of her pleas for help emerged while she was under Israeli fire.
February 11th from Rafah. I'm confused. Many of the families have begun to dismantle their tents and move to the central Gaza Strip. The reason is the fear of the massacres that will occur if Netanyahu begins the military operation in Rafah. But there is no order to evacuate. The continuous firebombing and bombing of residential squares in the south of Khan Yunis makes us feel anxious and afraid. There is a huge population here, and the chances of escape will be very small if the military attacks. We will be forced to leave without carrying anything with us.
February 20th, 2024, U.S. vetoes UN Security Council proposal for the 3rd time for a ceasefire. Netanyahu welcomes the U.S. veto.
I feel like I want to leave this country. I'm ashamed. I am so ashamed. Where is humanity? I want to leave, but there's nowhere to go.
February 24th, Rafah. I was praying to God to bless me, to support me in the world, so that I can become a successful man in this world. I want to become a man of real benefit among people in this world. Perhaps you are my gateway to this world, and I believe in that. My whole family is happy with you. We are part of your family, and you are part of mine. February 26th, Rafah. The reality of what it is like is much worse than this camera can show you. We're now living in complete chaos. Many civilians have weapons around here, and if any one of them encounters a problem, he shoots immediately, without hesitation. Therefore, my young family and I try to stay close to each other. We try to protect our children and women from this overwhelming chaos. The Israeli army is now mockingly blowing up residential homes here. The goal is to eliminate the signs of life, the ability to live here.
February 28th, 2024, the conduct and ethics of some Israel Defense Force members have increasingly come under the microscope. Incidents ranging from pranks to potentially criminal acts are being exposed to the world, often by videos soldiers themselves have posted online. In many pictures and videos that have circulated, IDF soldiers are seen blowing up buildings in Gaza. waving women's underwear like flags, and rifling through and often destroying the possessions of Gazans with gleeful dispositions.
I'm disappointed and broken, my friend. Yesterday I met a friend who was released from Israeli prisons. 61 days of detention. He told me about it. Beatings, broken bones without treatment, walking barefoot on glass, falling into cold water without clothes. Our feet and hands were shackled for 61 days without moving. We're not allowed to go to the bathroom. And urinating and defecating in your clothes, they're not allowed to shower. In prison, they also bring in police dogs to bite and urinate on them, defecate, all without allowing them to change their clothes or disinfect after the dogs. The period between 4 a.m. and 11 p.m., it's not permitted to sleep or move. Only with their hands and feet tied and their eyes covered, they are accused of baseless charges such as participating in October 7th or belonging to Hamas. They are brought before the court and prison sentences are issued against them without the presence of any defense lawyers. They're not even allowed to speak or defend themselves. During the investigation, they're beaten with iron pipes. They were also shoved into an Israeli tank, more than 20 people inside on top of each other. The scene is terrible. I'm really afraid of that now. All of this has brought fear into my heart.
Is anyone paying attention? This is actually happening. How is no one stopping it?
February 29th, 2024, the Flower Massacre occurred and at least 118 Palestinians were killed and 760 injured after Israeli forces opened fire while the Palestinians were seeking food from aid trucks.
March 15th from Rafah. What can I say? Gaza's no place fit for living. Everything around it has been destroyed. We hope that the efforts your country is seeking now will stop this genocide. We need great efforts for urgent relief during this war and also after the war. The only party that capable of stopping this, of doing that, is the United States. What is happening in American universities is a new phenomenon. I believe it will succeed in increasing pressure as a political level in the United States in order to reach a ceasefire soon.
We keep telling each other that we will all meet soon. Do we believe it? I think Yasser does. I think he has to, just to keep going.
The news again carried proposals for ceasefire and the release of prisoners. We hope this will happen, that Rafah will not be entered and everything destroyed for my family. We're facing a terrible time here. As temperatures rose, the ground began to release the lizards, the ants, snakes, scorpions. Death has become multiple. At first, we were afraid of the bombs, then of poor health situations, and now we have become afraid of sleeping because of what comes out of the earth. We pray that it will not reach us.
March 22nd, 2024. Sahir Akram Ryan, a journalist with the Palestinian Authority news agency Wafa, was killed with his son Anas in an Israeli strike as they were assisting injured neighbors. More than 100 journalists have been targeted and killed.
The institutions that call themselves charitable, here, they're unfair. Since the beginning of the war, many thousands have not received a single aid box. We hear about the entry of aid, but unfortunately, we do not get any aid. My dream career ended with this war. I'll try to seek refuge in a place that will contain my family and provide them with a better future than I am in now.
I've been talking to embassies who might let the family in with humanitarian asylum designation, but they have to get there first, to Canada, Spain, Ireland, and to get there requires a visa. The cruel joke is that there's no way to get a Palestinian visa in Gaza.
March 18th from Rafah. Yesterday was terrifying. A place in the middle of the tents was bombed. Also, a short while ago, Israeli planes were breaking the speed of sound, resulting in very loud and frightening sounds we call air turbulence, 3 times in a row. The children are afraid.
March 26, 2024, U.S. finally abstains on a United Nations Security Council ceasefire proposal, which passes with 14 members in favor. Post-vote statements by U.S. ambassadors signal that the U.S. is still backing Israel's war.
I was visiting the head of our family, called the Mukhtar of the family. He was released yesterday after 55 days in Israeli prisons. He's 62. They insulted him a lot and did not respect his age. He was kept handcuffed, feet shackled, blindfolded for 55 days, in addition to constantly beating and malnutrition. He tells us to intensify our prayers for those that are in prison. Israel treats us as if we were animals unfit to live.
April 2024. Following the withdrawal of Israeli forces, over 300 bodies of young men, women, and children were unearthed at the Nasser Medical Complex in Khan Yunis, Gaza. According to Colonel Yamin Abu Suleiman, the bodies exhibited signs of having been bound and potentially executed in the field. Reports indicate that 2 other mass graves have been identified, but have yet to be excavated.
This morning's White House news briefing was all about how we would have to wait for an Israeli investigation into the mass graves before making a judgment. I feel like I live in an alternative reality. I mean, a reality with thin air, because when I hear this crap, I can't breathe. Literally, I can't breathe.
April 4th, 2024. Former U.S. President Donald Trump says that Israel needs to finish what they started.
April 19th. The impact of this genocide that is happening here will continue for years. Perhaps new steps will be found to guarantee the establishment of a Palestinian state. We have a beautiful saying that good lies in evil. I'm now 33 years old. From my birth until now, Palestine has been going through the worst conditions. I dreamed of traveling, moving freely, completing my university studies, obtaining advanced degrees, learning about other cultures and languages. But unfortunately, I didn't achieve any of those things. I am a negligible part of a youth whose dreams ended without realization. But when I look at your society, I feel hope again. For example, you and your friends, despite your old age, now have the spirit of truth and defend the truth. I love this positive energy from you. So if the war ends, I must travel and reach you in order to learn and get a part of what I dreamed of. I hope to be a person, part of humanity, learning languages and cultures.
April 19th, 2024, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that he has made determinations regarding accusations that Israel violated U.S. laws that prohibit providing military assistance to forces that commit gross violations of human rights. Months ago, a State Department panel recommended that Blinken disqualify multiple Israeli military and police units from receiving U.S. aid due to allegations of human rights violations. Blinken has not taken action and continues to justify Israel's actions.
April 27th. What is happening now in this war is more difficult than what happened in 1948. Previously, nobody knew what was happening, but now everything's documented and the whole world knows this is happening, knows of our suffering. Perhaps this will have an adverse impact on Israel, my friend. And as for our friendship, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it forever. May 1st, Khan Yunis. The bad news is that my cousin is still trapped under the rubble. He was martyred 2 days ago, and no one can get to where that happened. He was targeted in northern Kusa.
Well, very early on, Nada's sister and her infant daughter were killed. Yasser wrote that he was there when it happened. I mean, we all know that death is a part of life. I mean, we all know we're going to die, but not like this. Orchestrated slaughter is not meant to be a part of life.
May 7th, Hamas accepts an Egyptian-Qatari ceasefire proposal, but experts say Israel is unlikely to accept because it becomes increasingly clear that Israel does not want a ceasefire.
We're closer than ever to the end of this war, May 7th. What the American CIA director did during the past 2 days is a reason for the success of what is happening now in Egypt. Despite the military entry into eastern Rafah and their arrival at the Rafah crossing, we believe that Israel will not cross Biden's red line. The next hours are crucial. We hope the negotiations will succeed and this life in war will end. I want to think positively. I'm tired of this situation.
May 9th, 2 days after Hamas accepted the ceasefire proposal, Israel invades Rafah. The response from the Biden administration is that Israel is conducting a limited operation, not an invasion. It seems President Biden has moved his red line.
My grandson was arrested in the student protest at his college last night. At the start, there were only about 30 students protesting, but when cops from 3 neighboring towns appeared and then helicopters overhead, more faculty and students joined them. On the news, they say that the student protests are the only thing giving Gaza hope. And Yasser agrees. I'm proud of my grandson. The thing that kills me the most is the hope. Every time there's a negotiation or some countries recognize Palestine or the International Criminal Court of Justice makes a pronouncement, Yasser writes with so much hope. And then the despair that follows. And still he gets up and walks kilometers to fetch water for his family. Yasser's a living example of the will to survive, of humanity in action.
May 11th. It seems I forgot to tell you, Nada's nephew was killed. He was hit by a tank shell. He lost his life. He did nothing wrong. May 25th, now we hope to implement the International Criminal Resolution because this means ending the war, at least even temporarily, to allow us to return to our homes. Among the International Criminal Court's decision is to open all land crossing with the Gaza Strip. We're so looking forward to this announcement.
It seems hope really does spring eternal.
June 1st, Khan Yunis. My mother has been in Cairo since before the war began for medical reasons. Now she can't get back. Yesterday we talked to her by internet. Recently, Youssef no longer eats the food we make. I asked my mother to ask him, "Why are you not eating, Youssef?" He looked at my mother and told her that his mother's food is not delicious. "Grandma, I miss your food, and also the milk you used to make for me. When will you come here to prepare milk for me?" It brought tears to my eyes when I saw my children's love for my mother. It made me think, if we were, by some miracle, to be able to go to another country, will the children adapt? A lot of questions are running through my mind. June 2nd from Khan Yunis. The next stage in this war is crucial. I must be prepared and also anticipate all the possible outcomes. I follow the Hebrew media, and the outcome appears to be planned between Biden and Netanyahu. The strange thing is, after Biden's announcement, Netanyahu is invited to speak to Congress. It seems that we're on the verge of another war and a continuation of this war.
July 31st, 2024, Tehran, Iran. Hamas's chief negotiator for the Qatari-brokered ceasefire talks with Israel, Ismail Haniyeh, was assassinated today. Iranian and US officials believe Israel assassinated him, but Israel has said nothing.
June 7th. Every day I live here in Gaza, I'm amazed at the way the Israeli army enters residential districts. And the technology they use is frightening. And the Western world, as well as some Arab countries, provide support to Israel so it can continue this genocide. When Israel invaded Rafah, it used the Egyptian wall to protect its rear, and the northern part of Rafah was exposed. This allowed everyone affiliated with Hamas to leave. This is evidence that Israel does not want Hamas members, but rather wants to destroy as much of Rafah as possible. The scene tonight was terrifying. Many families are fleeing from the south of Khan Yunis to a road unknown to me.
August 7th, 2024, pro-Palestinian protesters interrupted Vice President Kamala Harris during a campaign rally in Michigan, chanting, "We won't vote for genocide." The Vice President replied, if you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking."
The situation here is very dangerous. The artillery shelling east of Deir al-Balah is violent and has not stopped since sunrise today. Today will be hot at all levels. We hope that the forecast will be positive.
August 13th, 2024, Netanyahu reportedly pardons his negotiating team's position, insisting that Israel keep control of Gaza's southern border. A new condition. He also insists on security checkpoints to search Palestinians trying to return to their homes in northern Gaza. August 15th, 2024, over 100 Israeli settlers attacked the Palestinian village of Jit in the West Bank today, killing one Palestinian and burning cars. Israeli newspaper Haaretz reveals that an Israeli army unit was nearby during the 4-hour attack and did nothing to stop it or arrest the attackers. Since October 7th, Israel forces and settlers have killed 632 Palestinians in the West Bank, including 147 children.
August 21st, al-Mawasi. There is an advance of Israeli vehicles now in the north of Khan Yunis. The situation is very dangerous here. Ambulances are transporting the injured as a result of this sudden entry, and we're now displaced every few days. My family has spent many nights on the streets because of the displacement. There is nowhere in Gaza to go. They tell us to leave, but we don't know where to go.
August 22nd, 2024. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken leaves the Middle East saying ceasefire talks may be last chance to free captives from Gaza. He returns to the U.S. with no agreement for a ceasefire.
You can't see it, but the photo is of my cousin who was martyred just a few minutes ago. The situation is very dangerous. I took a picture. He's about 12 years old. He never hurt anyone. Also, a short while ago, 2 tents near us burned down. The distance between my tent and the fire was only 100 meters. The danger is very close. I hope I don't lose any of my family members.
I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do to help.
August 22nd, 2024. Israeli attacks have killed at least 10,490 school and university students and injured another 16,700, while more than 500 school teachers and university educators have also been killed, according to El Mazan Center. All educational facilities in Gaza remain closed, and hundreds of school buildings have been damaged or destroyed. On Wednesday, an Israeli attack on a school for orphans in Gaza City killed several people, mostly children and women, sheltering there after being displaced by previous Israeli strikes. Late last month, an Israeli attack on a school filled with thousands of displaced Palestinians in northern Gaza killed at least 13 people, and the list goes on. Israeli forces have repeatedly attacked schools, alleging that Hamas uses them as command centers. Hamas denies the charges. Israel is committing scholasticide, the deliberate and systematic destruction of the Palestinian education system in Gaza, according to a recent report for human rights. Gaza has become the most dangerous place in the world to be a child, according to UNICEF.
August 28th. Your prayers for us in these times are needed more than ever, my aunt. They bomb everything they want without any consideration for how crowded it is. I hope that I do not lose anyone from my family. I'm so grateful to you for this blessed effort. You are the future of my family. You saved us from hunger, humiliation, and oppression in the past. You're still doing so, and I am confident that you will still do it in the future. Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
August 29th, Omawasi. My family had a cold and also a sore throat. Also, we went to the doctor for Youssef, who is suffering from ear pain. It turned out that he needs an operation to implant tubes inside the ear. Now, buildup of wax that forms inside the ear. We can do nothing now because of the collapse of the health system inside the hospital. We'll wait till the end of the war. I hope that this pain does not worsen for Youssef. August 31st, Omawasi. Youssef's pain is better now. Unfortunately, mental illness has struck my wife, Nada. Again, she imagines that she misses us when she hears every sound of a missile. She loses control, and it frightens the children. She's overwhelmed with this suffering.
How will he walk the kilometers to get water? If not, I can't take care of the children. How will he go on his daily search for food? How?
September 8th, I have very sad news today. The Israelis targeted a house in my village. The number of victims, 13. 7 of them were my family. My father, my 2 brothers were there sleeping in our house. I was with Nada because she's not doing well psychologically. I couldn't be with them. But I'm always worried about them, especially when I hear there is an attack in the village. I'm sending you pictures of my family members. There they are. They're the ones in the plastic bags. September 26th, Gaza. The gist of Netanyahu's speech to the United Nations is a continuation of this war. I'm not optimistic at all. Blinken, the US Congress, they've gone astray.
October 21st, 2024. In the past 24 hours, 108 people have been killed in bombings across the territory, according to local health officials. The nightmare in Gaza is intensifying. Horrifying scenes are unfolding in the northern strip amidst relentless Israeli strikes and an ever-worsening humanitarian crisis. Tor Wennesland, the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, said in a statement, "Nowhere is safe in Gaza. The war must stop now," he added.
This tent next to me was bombed just a short while ago. 1 person was killed and several were injured. I was walking with my sons, with Yusuf and Mohammed, next to this tent before the targeting. Thank God we were not harmed.
October 22nd, 2024, near Be'eri, Israel. Jewish settlers, including ministers and Prime Minister Netanyahu's cabinet, gathered on the border of Gaza on Monday, where they called for settlements Israel evacuated 2 decades ago to be reestablished in the war-torn Palestinian enclave. We can renew settlements in Gaza, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir told the hundreds who gathered for a 2-day outdoor conference titled "Preparing to Resettle Gaza." Smoke could be seen rising in Gaza and the loud bangs of artillery sounded in the distance.
Indeed, the United States is the only one who can put an end to all this. But there's joint plans with Israel that are being implemented, and they're a priority for the United States. Israel and the United States will not give up, and Hamas will not give up either, and we will die.
That was in October. I can't say nothing has changed in the months since then, since the 1-year mark. I can say that the impossible has happened. Things have gotten worse, much, much worse. I knew when I first put this play together that there was not an end to this story. The genocide raged on, but I have to admit that by now, by December, when I'm writing this, like Yasser, I kept holding on to some hope that by now I could write the end.
December 4th, 2024. A few moments ago, a bombing occurred that looked like it was maybe a nuclear bomb next to us.
December 4th, 2024, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has issued an apparent warning to Hamas, threatening all hell to pay if hostages held in Gaza are not released by the time he returns to the White House on 20th January. Without mentioning Hamas by name, Trump posted online the same day, "Those responsible will be hit harder than anyone has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America." Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked Trump for his strong statement.
I have been very distracted for the past 2 days, my friends. I've become like a little child. I browse pages and videos about food. The soul can no longer stand deprivation, but this will pass. When the truce comes into effect, I'll make every kind of food that I want, every kind my soul craves. I won't care how much it costs. We're no longer afraid of death. We only think about food.
December 27th, 2024. Headlines from today. Babies in Gaza die of hypothermia as living conditions worsen. Israel attacks kill 5 journalists in vehicle clearly marked press. Israel forces torch Kamal Adwan Hospital, the last medical facility in northern Gaza, forcing hundreds to flee. Gaza's Ministry of Health said on Friday that contact has been lost with staff inside the hospital. It had no information on the fate of patients or staff who were inside.
God have mercy on us. The past 2 days have been the coldest since the beginning of winter. We have enough blankets, and thank God our tent is almost warm. We hope that the past year was enough for us. I do not think there is an end to this war in sight. We will now expect the worst within the beginning of the Trump era. A cold wind is blowing.
This play ended just after Christmas 2024, but in this story there is no ending. It goes on and on and on. Today is February 25th, 2025. The ceasefire in Gaza has been in effect for 35 days. The United States has changed presidents from one Zionist to the next. While speculation is that Trump succeeded in negotiating the ceasefire, Biden laid the groundwork for Trump's proposed Riviera of the Middle East. As the world at large continues to view Palestinians as dispensable, a lesser people to be herded like cattle, in Palestine, life goes on. Families struggle to raise children, to find clean water, to manage a sense of dignity, maintain culture and pride in the midst of the rubble. I still hear from Yasser almost every day. Very soon after the ceasefire went into effect, the family moved back into their home. The windows and doors were destroyed, and all the pipes and appliances had been destroyed by bullets, but there were still 4 walls and a roof.
The first days within the ceasefire were very difficult. The drones and planes were gone, but our ears kept ringing. My middle son, Mohammed, who is 4.5, has been the most harmed. He urinates at night and is frightened by every sound. For the first week, Maria would fall down and get up and brush herself off. She's only lived in a tent with a sand floor. She kept going around the room, touching the walls. Our house is really close to the buffer zone on the border with Israel. On the day the ceasefire started, January 19th, 15 martyrs were killed in my village. They were too close to the area. We hope that no one will be injured in the coming days, that the danger is still ongoing. We hope this truce is the beginning of an end of this war. On January 26th, we were able to recover the body of my cousin, Raghad Uba Rida, the martyr. All that was left were a few small bones and his cell phone next to him. February the 1st. Today we went to play football with my cousins in the old field we used to play in before the war. Unfortunately, there is a military site there now, recently established. When we got there, there were 10 minutes of machine gun fire and sound bombs near it. We all lay down on the ground during this period. The bullets were above our heads. As for those who left with the idea of displacement, I can't leave Gaza. My mother and father and family are here. I can't leave them here without the ability to come back. February 18th. Mohammed, Isfahan, Youssef, they move around a lot here without hesitation here at their house, despite the stray bullets, and there are daily injuries in the village. Yesterday, quadcopters were making provocative sounds and words. We heard reconnaissance planes as if we were back at war. We do not know why they keep flying over us, but we hope that it is for good and they don't attack again. Because the first to be harmed will be those near the border, which is us.
February 23rd, 2025. Hamas has condemned Israel's decision to postpone the release of more than 600 Palestinian prisoners, saying its claim that the captives' handover ceremonies are humiliating was false and a pretext to evade Israel's obligations under the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns that Israel is ready to return at any moment to intensive combat. The operational plans are ready. February 25th, 2025. 6 children died from hypothermia as a result of the freezing cold with no shelter, as Israel prevents entry of mobile homes.
2 days ago, I received a video call from Yasser. Yusuf, who is now 7, grinned from ear to ear as he said in English, "Hello, Crystal, I will go to school tomorrow." Yasser told me that Yusuf had asked to call so I would know they were going to school. And then Yusuf pointed to Muhammad and said, "Kinder." The call lasted for 13 minutes, and I got to talk to everyone in the family. Nada was beaming. Maria danced, and through it all I wept. That 13 minutes, that joy and connection is what I will hold on to. As we all know, this story is not over. May we all find some piece of joy to hang on to.
March 22nd. Hello, my friend. How are you? We are fine, but the days of pain have returned. The markets are empty. Conditions are very bad. We thought it impossible for this war to return, but this world is subject to Israel and the United States. They decide the policy of this world. We need you more than ever. We are not prepared physically or psychologically for these days. March 24th. Now we go to sleep tired and exhausted from the work to serve our children and family. Planes of all kinds fly, terrifying and frightening sounds, bombing and shelling, and the red color that fills the sky, intense darkness. We sleep against our will. Our bodies cannot endure day and night. We wake up against our will to the sounds of bombings and planes.
I was asked to speak at a retreat for Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, so I asked Yasser to write something for me to read.
Hand me your text. I don't have that right now. Every free person who came here to participate against the greatest evil in the world, which is Israeli Zionism. In the last month of this war, we have been displaced more than 12 times. With each displacement trip, we lose a part of ourselves and are struck by a wave of anger, heartache, hysteria. Despite that, the children consider each displacement trip a new life and begin to adapt to this life again. This is a miniature model of the psychological state we're going through now. We're on this decisive day, despite the state of hunger, fear, and anxiety that we are living in, as well as the exhaustion of the soul and body, We have a new hope for the beginning of a new life to end this war. On the decisive day of these negotiations. Therefore, we demand that everyone now increase the pressure in order to reach a real ceasefire. We do not want anything from this world except to stop this current slaughter. Another thing, there's so many families here in Gaza that have nobody like the support network I have with you, my friend. I'm going to start another way of raising money to help needy families here, because the pictures and videos that come out of Gaza, they don't really describe the reality, the pain in the eyes of children and mothers, their hunger, the poor economic situation. We started a new donation link in order to try to help families here. We're always looking for ways to bring joy to the hearts and eyes of children and mothers here. We're always confident that what you give us, whether it is material or moral. Hugs to all of you in the midst of this suffering. Life does not end, it continues despite this death and hunger here.
May 26, 2025. World Health Organization representative Dr. Margaret Harris describing how Gaza's healthcare workers are dealing with wounded, starving children. The little ones are so emaciated, so malnourished. When you put a skin graft on their burns, it doesn't take. It doesn't heal because their immune systems are failing. So you have horror on horror. Medical workers themselves are enduring exhaustion, lack of food, and mental health issues. They are suffering enormous mental trauma as they don't know if the next person they see is one of their children, their brother, sister, neighbor, and they don't know if the next moment is their last. The only answer is a ceasefire.
I heard an analysis say that Netanyahu is successfully making Trump's negotiator, Witkoff, into a joke. After the first negotiations, when Witkoff met with Gaza, with Hamas, he said, they are reasonable people who can be negotiated with. Hamas claimed that the framework it had approved would secure a permanent ceasefire, the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, the flow of humanitarian aid, and a committee of independent Palestinian technocrats assuming governing control over the Strip instead of Hamas. That lasted 2 minutes before Netanyahu blasted Witkoff. Witkoff backed down and blamed Hamas for the failed negotiations.
June 4th, 2025. U.S. vetoes UNSC Gaza ceasefire resolution as Israeli strikes kill 95. The United States was the only country to vote against text urging immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire in Israel's war in Gaza.
Yasser, I want you to know that I hear from people who are checking the website for one family in Gaza because I post your texts. Many are watching. You have much love coming from around the world.
June 9th, 2025. The Israeli army has a team of psychological experts who manage the internal battle between the Palestinians through Palestinian agents and mercenaries. We have become accustomed to the current circumstances, hoping for either an end to this war or a chance to leave. So far, neither has materialized. July 3rd, 2025. Thank you for your support, my friends. I really can no longer understand anything. I have reached the highest level of despair. I don't know how I will continue to endure any longer. This is a life that can be endured. This is not a life that can be endured with patience. Maria is fine. She's improving. The effect of the medication that I was able to get with your financial help was good. July 4th, 2025. Never talk to a Palestinian about pain. He might consider your pain a picnic and remain silent out of respect. Never talk to him about sadness, for he is the one who wove a pillow with his mother's tears and a cradle from the groans of his homeland for his troubled sleep. Never recount to him the chapters of suffering, for he is the one whose body walked barefoot through the streets of the Nakba, carrying a child's coffin in his hand in a homeland that never fades in his heart. Everything you think is the end of the world, a Palestinian might see as the beginning of a new day, a drop in the ocean of pain, betrayal, and loss. I've got this next. Friend from afar. What have you? Page 25. I changed the script. We didn't have much time to get this ironed out. Forgive us. 25. July 9th, 2025.
I feel sad for myself. Yes.
Oh, there it is. I feel sad for myself. I stand in the middle of a conversation between my neighbors and friends without understanding what they are saying. I can't remember anything of what was said. I hope I recover. We've been living under terrible psychological pressure every waking hour for more than 600 days in a very crowded, confined space. A huge missile just landed 500 meters away. Sometimes I go online to talk and search for an explanation of my symptoms. I'm tired of flowery words that lack the spirit of experience. Are we concluding any of this?
And that's newscaster on page 25. 27.
I got 26. Here's 27.
Sorry. You're at the top, 27.
July 23rd, 2025, more than 100 humanitarian organizations are demanding action to end Israel's siege of Gaza, warning mass starvation is spreading across the Palestinian territory. The NGOs, including Amnesty International, Oxfam, and Doctors Without Borders. And we have a report from today. The Gaza Health Ministry said in a statement on Friday that local hospitals recorded 9 new malnutrition deaths in the previous 24 hours. That brings the total number of such deaths to 122, including at least 83 children dying of malnutrition. We urgently demand an immediate end to the famine, the opening of all crossings, and the entry of infant formula now, along with 500 aid trucks and 50 fuel trucks daily, the health ministry said. We hold the Israeli occupation, the US administration, and other states complicit in the genocide, such as the UK, Germany, and France, as well as the international community at large, fully responsible for this historic crime. Sources at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza told Al Jazeera early today that a 6-month-old infant also succumbed to starvation-related medical complications. Starvation deaths have steadily increased in Gaza this week as Israel continues to maintain a strict blockade on the territory, preventing a steady flow of food, water, medicine, and other supplies from reaching Palestinians.
Yasser, I believe that immigration is the best way for us to go forward. We'll focus on getting you to safety. From Greece or Belgium, many things are possible.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
End of the play.
Thank you very much. We were hoping that the playwright would be able to come, but she's not able to because a dear friend of hers is actually passing, and so she had to bow out. But anyway, if there's any questions that I can answer or anything that you would like to know, feel free to ask any of us, or, yeah.
Who is the playwright and where does she live?
Her name is Crystal Zevon, and she lives up by Burlington, New Hampshire. I mean Vermont, Burlington, Vermont.
Is she Palestinian herself?
No, she's not. She's not. She's, you know, Warren Zevon, the rock and roll star. It's his ex-wife, but anyway. She lives up there with her 2 kids on a farm, and actually her kids are older, and she has grandkids.
How did she connect with Yasser?
Well, she has traveled, and she connected, I believe it was through a group that she works with that has been reaching out, and then they connected with different families that were, you know, wanting to connect out. And she's been we have a website. It's on the page. It's onefamilyingaza.com, and these updates are on that, and anybody can go to that. And we have some money, but it's really hard to get out. It costs up to $10,000 a person now. So there's a fundraiser on that, and it goes through New Zealand because that's the best way. It's a chuffed account, and so if anybody's drawn to doing that, that's available. Yeah.
Are you saying that people can get out of Gaza now?
It's not looking very good. We've been trying. He's been trying, and it's such a black market and such thugs, and it's, you know, it's really
The border's not open.
right. It's not looking good right now. There were windows, you know, like when there was a ceasefire, and when some more aid trucks were coming and going, and but it's looking not so good right now. But we're still hoping to, working with different countries and different. Yeah, it's not looking too hopeful, but we never give up hope. Yeah.
There's always the challenge of contributing to UNRWA, Doctors Without Borders,
Yeah.
or GoFundMe. Or right here, and many of us are supporting as many families as we can.
Yes. Thank you. There's no shortage.
So I resonate with everything you're saying. I know a good family in Yunus and Rafah. Israel completely bulldozed the entire 200,000 city of Rafah. I think back in March when they broke the ceasefire. So that was a real tough. But these last 3 months have been the most bitter because their immune systems, their tolerance is completely shot. And the sound that you share with us, that's low level compared to what the clips that I've been getting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally just absolute torture. I mean, it seems to be just unmitigated desire to torture and torture and torture.
Absolutely. And the bombings that are overhead, they're constant. And on the tents, and the bulldozers, and the massacres at the food sites, and, you know, and we've been working really hard trying to talk, on the Olympic Peninsula, getting a hold of our representatives and senators and just pushing, because they're not pushing hard enough at all. Very few are, and many of them are, you know, complicit.
are you aware of the UNRWA 5K fundraiser, which will be next Sunday, August 3rd? And,
I did hear about it, but I don't, I don't, you expound on it.
yeah, I just wanted to share that. This is, it was UNRWA, is UNRWA.org/events/2025 Gaza 5K Seattle.
Oh, that one, yes, okay. I just read about that recently. And UNRWA's great. I mean,
Yeah,
the first time, I've been to Gaza 6 times, and the first time I went, UNRWA was our hosts, and
Yes.
took us everywhere, and, it was they were very, very important to the kingpin, which is why they kicked him out immediately.
yes, right, and that, the slander against UNRWA started immediately after the ICH ruling, I think it was.
Yeah.
Of probable genocide. So it was like the next day they
Yeah.
accused UNRWA.
It's just lies. I think most of you all probably know that.
Another resource is there's a documentary coming out August 13th. It's called Severed by Donkey Saddle Projects. And that's about a young man from Gaza who, of course, has lived through all these assaults and lost a limb in the 2018 marches for March of Return. So he's in Cairo, I believe. But anyway, it's a documentary about his entire experience.
Thank you for sharing that.
And that's, so Donkey Settles Projects, I don't remember if it's .org or
But Severed is the name of the documentary.
Northwest Film Forum.
Oh, nice.
Is this also a film?
No, but we, no. Not that I know of. Yeah, she created it. We'd like to film it. But, yeah, and I'm sure you all are activists being, part of this community here, which is strong, but it's nice to interconnect and support each other in all the different, programs that are going on for Gaza and Palestinian rights. I think
One
it's
other
really,
thing to mention is that we're working to put this play into a format suitable for the radio. So if that would be something that you have links to, that you could connect us with, within this coming months, we'll have it to a 28-minute presentation rather than an hour 15 presentation.
and if you know of any groups that want to do this, we'd love to get it. Crystal wants it all over, so there are people doing it all over the country in different communities, but if I just was there visiting, I said, well, I can take it back and I wasn't this person, like there was somebody else there and then they had to leave. But it's because it's a dramatic reading, it's much different than having to memorize lines, and it's a simple set. This all fit in my car, a bunch of stuff. And so it's a very doable thing, And so if anybody has any names of groups, you could let me know and I'll just send them a little, note. And
So is this based through Woodland Park Presbyterian Church, or how do we reach?
Todd has my contact. Yeah. And that would be fine.
It's surprising with all the horror and the bombings and the whatever's going on all the time, that the internet connection stayed live between Crystal and
Yasser, yeah.
And
I know.
I wonder sometimes how that happens. I know the internet is hard to kill here and there, but
I know, I've wondered about that as well.
It's almost like someone was there helping and I don't know, I'm just amazed that has kept him going.
Yeah.
He and his family, and I'm sure many, many other families, but
it's their connection, but I've been amazed at that as well.
Blessed to Crystal for continuing the conversation and, wow.
Yeah, some of the last ones, if you go to the site and read, and she says, are you okay? She wouldn't have heard for a week
Oh,
or
I'm
something.
sure. Oh my gosh.
The
And
internet was down, these last 2 months several times.
yes,
It was, yeah.
That's what I wondered.
more than it ever has been, yeah. Mhm. Everything's down more.
When you, so you were playing roller, you said? When you were holding up, I mean, people will send me.
Yasser, yeah.
They're holding up their cell phone on the tent's blowing in the wind, and they're holding it up towards something, and they're
Yeah.
able to get a connection.
Yeah,
I heard there was a major cable cut about a month ago, and so things were starting to devolve in terms of connection.
yeah, I think that's what I've heard as well too. Yeah. It's pretty horrific. Yeah. I think just like what Yasser is saying, just hearing this, because they feel like the whole world is watching, and we are. And just to get any little voice of like, are you alive still? They're just like, somebody cares that I'm alive. It's just obscene to me. I mean, most people with a heart, I think, feel that way right now. It's not acceptable. So, I really admire the people that have gotten arrested, there's peaceful activists that are standing up and doing all the things like that they can. Contacting governments, writing letters, standing in front of, and boycotting. The BDS is very important, and that's don't buy Starbucks, there's lots of different ones that are operating in Israel. That site's great to check out. There's the stuff on the table out there it's basically free with donation. The t-shirts are not, those are brand new. They're from the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which I'm a part of, and our boat is almost to Gaza right now. It's probably within 100 miles now. And the last boat, the Madeleine, was stopped, is set in international waters, hijacked, and they were in prison, and then some were released later. But anyway, we're sending another boat now, the Handla, and we've sent 33 boats since 2008, and so that's another thing to support too, just even putting it out there. And so we're in touch with people in Gaza with this, and they're like, somebody cares, just any little action is, if it can reach them, is heartening. And we'll be sending boats. We've got more boats coming up, so it's an ongoing thing with that, to support the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, and then there's other
None of
ones.
the boats have actually gotten in.
The first one's got in 08 and 09. Yeah, those are the only ones that got in. And I've been on a couple of them, and they come out into international waters. I mean, Israel will do anything.
Yeah, how many people were killed on the one boat?
Oh yeah, the Mavi Marmara, I think that was
That was 10 people?
10 people were killed.
And it's a boat just having aid on it, no weapons, and
Right.
just in international waters.
Right, yeah. And that was a boat from Turkey. And Turkey. And then they bombed the boat from Turkey just a month ago. It was the Conscience in the Bay of Malta. They bombed it. Nobody was injured, but it incapacitated it. But now they have another boat that's going to be sailing. And before, a lot of times with the flotillas, we would try to be clandestine and let them know what port we're in, and it's just like, well, that doesn't really work. Duh. But we did, and so now we're trying to get more eyes on deck, basically. So we're saying where we're going to be, when, who's on boat. We have Chris Small, from the Amazon. He's one of the main guys on the boat. And we have Huwaid Arif. We've got, we try to get renowned people, because then more eyes are interested. But anyway, that's something else. You can just go to that website and you can follow it. There's a tracker on it. You can see where the boat is and see who's on it with their bios. And
One family in Gaza.
one family in Gaza, you can go on that website too. Yeah, I was talking about the Freedom Flotilla one too, I was just giving a
Oh,
plug
yeah,
for that.
yeah,
But onefamilyingaza.com, and that's, you'll get the updates too, from Yasser, inshallah. But, thank you all for doing all the good work you're doing. I know that everybody here is an activist of some sort, so that's important.
If people here haven't seen the art, to the right of the one with the green and red body and the two heads, that's, that, 5 pieces, from, Gaza children who are around Cairo, out of Gaza, so
Oh,
those
wow.
pieces, a little bit of their story and, some resources on the wall.
And I meant to bring, because they gifted me when I went to Gaza from the amazing children's art center there. And there were kids' paintings right after Operation Cast Lead. And it looks just like what we're seeing the pictures of now, you know, with the kids drawing with everything, you know, blood, planes overhead and everything. And the children's art's amazing, like all the stuff. But the art is such a huge part of their culture. And that art center's gone now, too. But I want to go check that out.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you very, very much.